Hello everyone, it's been a while since my last upload and that's because I've been getting bored of BT6 and Battles 2. I can't bring myself to play them. Now I'm not saying that BT6 or Battles 2 are bad games, though Battles 2 is up for debate. It is just that I feel like I have exhausted all that I can do in both games. I know I frequently disappear without a trace because of school and hitting a roadblock and content ideas. I have considered modding BT6, I have a couple of ideas, but new updates cause mods not to work, so I have to wait for them to get updated so they could work. I could roll back BT6 to update 33, but I don't really want to do that. To sum it all up, I won't be active much. Now as for Battles 2, the game is mediocre and is rarely fun to play. My main two issues with the game are 1. Lack of content, and 2. Lack of tower balancing. Also, Hom is dead. It takes like 3 to 5 minutes to find a match if I find one at all. Now note, I usually play Battles 2 from like the times from like 6 to 10, just because, again, when I leave to go to work and I come back, that's really the only time I do have to play the game. So it could just be no one's active from the time of 6 to 10, which I guess makes sense. But even still, if you go look at the player count, it does make sense why it would still take a match. And also, lots of other players have expressed concerns about not being able to find a match. Now, the game has been out for a year, but it feels like it's only been out for 4 months. The amount of content we've gotten over the year is small. The significant additions were heroes and 3 game modes, 2 of which are basically late game simulator and random quad, which could have been fun, but there's no matchmaking, so it ends up being a boring noob stomp until you get 75 stars. Tower balancing has been an issue I always spoke about. Whenever someone tries to talk about tower balancing, people respond with the well-rehearsed, "But DFI and DVR isn't that good, DSF beats them both." Well, yes, this is true. DSF does consistently beat Darling Ice players if you know what you're doing. I mean, I've beaten Darling Ice players using Ace Farm Spec. But saying DFI and DVR aren't good, you are ignoring the fact that people are tired of only seeing Darling Ice or Druid Sub. When someone says balancing sucks, they're not only talking about Darling Ice, but DSF as well. Not saying that DSF needs a nerf anyway, I think the strategy is fine. It's just that we need more balancing so that way we're not only seeing DSF or Darling Ice. DSF and Darling Ice has been meta for 2 seasons now. Part of the fun of playing Battles 2 and watching Battles 1 videos back in the day was seeing all the unique strategies that people came up with and of course playing those unique strategies. I feel as though most people playing Battles 2 share the same sentiment. Developing fun, unique strategies is much harder if many of the towers and upgrades suck. Whenever Ninja Kiwi does decide to buff underperforming towers, they miss the mark and don't address the issue with those towers. Here are some examples. They buff Shattering Shells by increasing Burning Stuff damage and decreasing the price of it by 1k. Problem with this change is that no one was using Shattering Shells for damage, and the price decrease is not enough to make it worth using against fortified mobs and BFBs, as well as the fact that Mortar isn't worth using as it's outclassed by other towers. Another example is in the most recent update, they killed Bloom Trap. Even though it wasn't meta, and Engineer wasn't that good, it was just annoying to play against. Now this change would be better if they buff other Engineer paths, but they didn't, so the Engineer ends up being one of the worst towers in the game. There are more examples, but you get the point. Overall, I'm disappointed with how Battles 2 was handled. I feel like Ninja Kiwi is disconnected from the community, or there just isn't enough people working on the game. I suspect the latter is the case, as NK is gearing up to release a new tower in BT6. They most likely want to get into Battles 2 as soon as possible. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on what I said. If anything was unclear, let me know in the comments, or if you have anything you want to add, again, let me know in the comments down below.